Okay, welcome everyone. If you don't know me, I'm LanTurN, Tyler. If you do know me, good to see you. I've thrown together a little something myself. I obviously really like Melee. I also really like learning. I think that's been a lot of my focus outside of work recently has been delving into some of the psychology of some of this stuff. And as I know this game was talking about, even if we actually know what to do to get better, for some reason we just don't do it, right? And so trying to bridge that gap with some of my coaching recently, I put together some of the stuff in the presentation. I know we have a fairly experienced crowd, all things considered, so maybe some of it we can skim over, and I think some of it, Joe touched on something fairly similar. But just to kick us off, I think it's really important to start way back at square one when we're booting up Melee and we're thinking about why we're even playing this game. And I think this is something I notice in some of the people that I teach, is that before we can start thinking about ROing and improving and all this other stuff, we got to think about why are we even flipping the game open to start with. Because I think for some people, Melee serves a very social purpose, and at that point, I don't know why you're doing analysis or opening up a save state if your goal is to like go play amateur bracket at Abbey, right? And if you're someone who really wants to be the best in the world, obviously you got to start with this sooner. And if you're someone who just wants to get okay, you don't necessarily have to drill down into the nitty gritty, and maybe that wouldn't be like a great use of your time. So just throwing this out here, does anybody have any goals of things they want to achieve with Melee, or like really distinct reasons why they play the game? Yeah?
I feel like I used to be like athletic a lot and playing the game for so long, but like more casually. But like I feel like I used to be like one of the worst players like ever. Like I would just lose to like I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
And so just like learning like how to actually beat people.
Right.
Like has been like one of my goals.
Nice.
And that's kind of abstract.
Yeah. No,
I
that's
guess
good.
one of my goals is like getting a higher rank and stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Anybody else off the top of their head, any other particular reasons why they play Melee or really dip into it? I think another one, yes?
It's fun to like figure out the puzzle of what Melee is.
Yes.
Like it's just good to distract you, train your brain, like the moves to
Right.
The dance of my character and the finishing combos.
Some people like the movement, the combos, all that other stuff. And if that's what your focus is when you're playing the game, then actually beating people is not necessarily a requirement for you to hit your goals, right? You can still be smooth, you can still be doing a lot of sick stuff and not necessarily be winning tournaments. So I think something to just chew on a little bit before you start going for it, yeah?
That's what I was saying, that's why we have here.
Yeah, exactly, right? So then we're actually going to start picking specific things to achieve that goal, and that's also going to help us structure our practice, right? We're not necessarily doing VOD review if our goal is to necessarily hang out with the homies, and maybe we can take some of that time that we're playing secondaries with the homies if we really want to get better and put that back into Uncle Punch and maybe something like punish game practice. So from there, we create our goals, we strive for them. Either we hit them, great, fantastic, or we don't. We want to actually analyze why that's happening. So this is kind of the meta level of analysis that happens outside of the game before we worry about the analysis that happens inside of the game. So to make it a little bit more tangible for people, I know Joe also touched on some punish game stuff, but I just think we were just looking at kind of the macro of why we're doing what we're doing. Now we're going to look at a very micro, right? Which is we're looking at our punish game and how to actually iterate on our punish game goals. So assuming our goal here, right, is to get some sort of opening, convert it into a kill as often as possible, I have a methodology that I've taken from a Cody Swab video that we will look at after this that I think is very helpful for my improvement and really can be extrapolated to a lot of other systems. But for punish games specifically, we're looking for a kill, edgeguard, percent, position. So at every single spot, if we can get a kill, we're going to take it. If we can't get a kill, we're going to look for what can set up an edgeguard because that's most likely to lead into a kill. From there, just racking up as much percent as possible. And if we can't get any of those things, let's at least get position. So at any time in Melee, no matter what position you're in, you can always get one of these four things, even if it's just the positioning. So from there, we can kind of optimize a little bit more, try to find shortcuts so that maybe some of those combo routes are a little bit easier. Or if we're aware of some of these shortcuts, right? I'm a Falco, and I know that a lot of times I can just double dare them if they're near the edge. we can set up those shortcuts a little bit more often. Cool. So, huh? Great question, because I didn't expand on that enough. There are a lot of easy kill setups in Melee that will stop coming up frequently when people adapt to them. So like a really easy one is like puff, up throw, rest. When you're first picking up the game, people are not going to DI. You're going to be able to up throw, rest them every time. So it's kind of a shortcut to be able to take a stock a lot earlier is let me just focus on like what are the ways for me to just take a stock at 30%. Now people are obviously going to adapt to that over time because they know that you're going to try to cheese them. But it's like any time that you know that their defense is not going to be there or something specific about the situation will set up that kill again, it'll re-enable some of those earlier kill options that you might not always be inclined to go for because normally people can defend against it. I think for Sheik, a great example of this is her up smash. It's a move that kills very, very early, but it's very hard to hit. So a lot of times people will just totally ignore it, even though a lot of times it is a shortcut to a kill. So if I pop them up with a forward tilt and up tilt, and they happen to be in that range for up smash, I want to be looking for up smash first, because that is my fastest ticket out of the punish game with the kill. Sure, I can pair them off stage, or I can do something else to set up a tilt to extend the combo, but you know, that is kind of jeopardizing what would otherwise be a guaranteed kill. Yes, Joe?
There's a degree of separation between the kill and the edge guard, too.
Yes, right? So if I hit them off stage, I still got to do the edge guard, and it's not guaranteed, versus I'm doing the up smash, it is. So we're going to watch this bit from Cody. For those that don't have context about Cody, I would say he was almost raised by Armada. He did a lot of Armada coaching back in the day, and I think that's also especially why he did so well against H-Box. So I think this is actually how Armada would end up getting good, and he was in isolation for many, many years. So
Coach Cody? Armada Coach Cody? Yeah.
Okay, so for context.
Okay, so for context, this is how I've analyzed Punish Game. This is how I've done Punish Game my entire career. My Punish Game is obviously pretty good. If you want to know where I learned this from, I learned it from Armada. Also a pretty good fucking Punish Game. So definitely some good people. Some people who have hit very hard in the history of this game have used this method. I learned this directly from him. I kind of intuitively did it beforehand, but he fleshed it out and gave me some kind of structure for it. So basically what happens is you have a string and you pick any 3-4 hit string, right? And the first thing you start with is you go to the last hit of the combo and you ask yourself, what could I have done? What other move could I have done to get me to the best possible outcome for this combo? The best outcome is obviously a kill. If you take the stock, that's probably rather 80% stage execute, right? Even if it's a little harder to execute, I trust my execution that I'll be able to do. And so you ask yourself that, and you kind of go down and see what's the best possible outcome I can get. And that varies from character, right? Like, let's say you could have gotten Falco off stage, but he's above stage. Off stage Falco above the stage is a lot scarier than below the stage. And instead you could have gotten 90%. But if you could have gotten Falcon off the stage, but he has no jump, that's a lot scarier, right? Because Falcon without a jump off the stage, if you have like frame advantage, really, really tough fight. He can just die very easily. So there are a lot of factors, but generally the pecking order is kill, good edge guard, and then percent plus positioning. And so you go to the last go to the last option and you say, okay, what could I have done differently that would have set up for a better situation going forward? And again, even if you got the kill, could you have set up for a more guaranteed kill? Okay, what people don't do is that after they do that, the next goal is to go back to the move before. Instead of this grab and then jump squat, he either tried to...
Let's say 4 different hits. And if it ends with a kill, great. Maybe you can try to find a way to get a kill earlier in the combo. But most of the time, obviously, it's not going to result in a kill. So then what he would do is work back through each hit and think about what could I have done instead that would have extended the combo or had led into a kill, right? So maybe he hits a puff one way, the puff's at 60%, and he runs up and nairs. And the puff kind of floats away and comes back. And he realizes, oh man, instead of that nair, if I had done an up air, that puff's at a percent where maybe they would have died. So next time I'm in that spot, instead of doing the nair, I would instead have done the up air, right?
I would give like a more like a sheet example of a sheet, because the sheet combo would be really, you know what I mean?
Not particularly.
Like, you get like a more obvious example of like a situation where that might actually happen in the game. Like you down throw,
is Puff dying to Fox up air not an obvious thing to people? I feel like
Yeah, up or
I've
over.
seen that a lot when I watch anyone play
Or
Xbox.
stop
That's
knee.
usually how they stop knee.
Stomp knee, yeah.
You stomp
Or
and then
not
up
go
air.
forward or
Maybe next time you can
Instead of
stop
stomp
knee.
knee,
Literally
you
anything
stomp
with the
up
game.
air, yeah.
And then he even just further works back through the combo. So even though he's still got the 4 hits, you're working back through each and thinking about, could I have gotten a kill earlier? Could I have set up the combo in a way where I would have set myself up for more success later down the line? Okay, moving on. Okay, so here's an example that came up recently of something where a very top player kind of missed out on one of these opportunities, and I want to kind of point it out. So here we have Magi Triff. She hits
Those
this
double jumps.
amazing
Magi's
combo,
spending a lot
right?
of
This is the
resources to
SD
get to the
over
back of
combo.
Triff's shield. If
And
she
then
gets
she
caught out in
forward
a trade, it
smashes
could just be the end of her
there.
life.
Oh.
Winner side.
What do we get here? Up till up air? No, we
Just
keep going.
keep it going.
Keep it going.
So she does
Hang on, it's
all
not
the
over
hard
yet.
stuff.
Whoa.
She sets
I
up
think the down tilt's
combo,
coming
she
soon.
makes
I think you already
great
predicted it.
I wanna-
on Triff rolling in, and then she forward smashes. And if you go into a DI calculator, if anyone has used a DI calculator before, yes? I fucking love this thing. It is so helpful. So we can look. This is a Falco forward smash on a Peach at 102 on Final Destination. Does that kill? Really does not look like it kills. And if you down tilt, oh my god, that's so crazy, right? So these are the sort of things where you don't even necessarily need to see something happen to learn from it. You can even go look at your own combos and just think about, oh man, if I had thrown this other move in the mix, what would have happened? So this just happened to me today as a Sheik. I was juggling this Falcon around. I popped them up, forward air, hit them off stage, had to do a whole edge guard. I went back and I looked. They were at 100%. They died to up smash tipper. I could have just done an up smash earlier in the combo instead of hitting them off stage. I wouldn't have had to mess with any of that other stuff. So it happens even at the top level that people are kind of missing these opportunities. Obviously, this was really easy because it was at the end of the combo, but this also decided to set, and I just think one of the easiest ones, use the fucking down tilt instead of forward smash. I know people love forward smash because it's this big, very satisfying hit, but like, what is our goal, right? Is our goal to hit the moves that are the most satisfying and do a combo, or is our goal to actually end up KOing the other character? So,
Soft back air into hard
Yeah.
back air.
soft back and a hard back air?
Yeah, like around, like do some, you can do some stick shit off that too. You don't
Yeah.
have to down to-
So,
you use other things that would kill too.
It's
yeah.
kind of funny how the coolest combos in Melee are the ones that are the least efficient.
Yeah.
Not always, but I see what you're saying.
Like a
I like the
Moki-
Sheik up smash stuff, and I
Like
think
a
that's fun.
15-hit Moki combo.
Sure.
Yeah, it's stylish, but
Right.
the reason it's hard is because he's making it hard for himself.
Right, and
True.
I think that's something where, like, if that's your goal as Moki is to be sick,
Yeah.
then there you go, you're doing a great job. And I think if you're someone that wants to win, something to reflect on. How do you want to balance those things? So we're running short on time here, so I'll skip this. But the point is, a lot of these could have just been a knee, and he could have just killed. But obviously, we all know Squid the Cat. He's not just going for the knee. He's going to go for something really crazy.
Show us one combo.
Okay, that was efficient.
Right? That could have just been a knee. That could have been a knee. Right? It is sick, right? So it's just something to think about. Like, why am I playing Melee in the first place? And I think if it's someone where your goal is to be sick, you can use a lot of these tools a different way. You don't necessarily need to be labbing stuff nearly as much. So I also wanted to introduce you guys to Slippy Lab if you've never used this before. Similar to other training softwares like Arving and stuff, I just like it because it's in the browser. It's very fast, but this is how I analyze a lot of my combos. So if you just go into Slippy Lab, there'll probably just be some other match that we can watch. So like, this is a Falco, this is a Marth. I can go on the side here. If I click on the controller icon, you can actually watch their inputs every single frame. And you can see what they're putting in their controller. I find it very helpful for a lot of things. One of which, if you end up dropping a combo, you can see what your opponent's DI would have been if you had hit. And that's kind of helpful for understanding how the combo flowed. You can just see their DI in general, which might explain why a combo was dropped. And I think it's really, really good for helping you find when you make like a mistake. I think some people miss a ledge dash and they're just like, oh man, I'll just hit the next one. Or like, I just need to go practice it more. What I would say is go watch and see what specifically went wrong with the ledge dash that ended up with you missing it, and it gives you something tangible that the next time you're going for a ledge dash, you're like, all right, let me just try to hit the shield button a little bit later so I don't do an early air dodge and die. And even if I do too late of a shield press and I do a very lazy ledge dash, at least I'm slowly starting to hone in on that perfect timing. So if we just kind of let this play out, maybe we'll go to a situation where someone actually has a combo.
You can actually even look for where a combo starts in the
Okay.
flip section.
Thank you, Joe. Like we'll even say here, right, we're closing in on the Falco. Okay, we hit the down air, then we can see the Falco is actionable right now. And then they shine and they totally miss. So maybe it's something that if I was a Falco in this position and I hit this down air, what's something else I could have done instead of shining?
Up tilt.
Up tilt. How long does up tilt take to come out?
No idea. That's what happens when I play against Aries.
Yeah, he does this.
Or noticing spacing.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, if anything.
Right? So the up tilt's probably going to hit here. The Falco clearly is like a decent amount of frames before the first shields or does anything. So I would think it links. And you can also kind of tell that that's going to happen because when you're holding forward as Falco, you're setting yourself up to go way past him. So this is just how I do Slippy Lab, is watching this stuff, picking out particular combos, going through each step, and trying to improve it.
Noticing your drift.
Yes. So I picked out some specific examples of myself to just kind of show off times that I would identify against some of these shortcuts. Yes.
Did you say that you can show the DI of a hit that you need?
So to clarify what I mean by that is, let's say I'm a Falcon. I stomp, and then I jump, and I forget to input knee. And I can think about, had I input knee, what frame would that have come out on? And then maybe skip like 10 frames in the future, and then see which way they're holding the control stick. And that's probably the direction they were going to be
I
in.
see. But it doesn't show you like the actual DI lines, does it?
I don't think it does. I think there's other tools that do that, but also that you can just put that in the
Use the other
calculator,
website, yeah.
right? So it's like
Yeah.
the tools cover each other. So here's a spot.
All
Yeah.
this shit recently new, huh? Isn't it?
What?
Is all that stuff recently new? Because like that, like I haven't heard of any of that.
I've never
No,
seen
Slippy Lab's definitely been around for years. Some of that other stuff is a little bit newer.
We're just
But
new.
here you can see this is a tough spot for me, right? 15% to 95. I'm kind of realizing I'm up the creek without a paddle unless I figure something out here. So, spaghetti, this is where I'm talking about a shortcut, right? Where I'm like, realistically, am I going to be able to win neutral 6 times against this puff before the puff wins it once against me? Probably not, right? So I'm in my head, I'm trying to kind of nickel and dime. I'm thinking about, okay, what are the worst case scenarios here? I can get grabbed, I really don't want to get hit. So they're trying to end my stock a little early, I end up turning this into a grab, I get a little bit of percent. Now, again, don't really want to play that much more neutral, right? I've already kind of gotten away with murder, with not getting chipped out by this puff, like any nice back air is going to win. So I'm thinking about what's a shortcut I can take to a kill, and I'm kind of baiting them into this. They go right into the up smash, they die at 50, and that gets me out of game a little earlier, right? So it's a bit of a read, but it's also informed by, I actually kind of need to do this read, because if I don't, the chances that I'm going to win neutral are lower than the chances of me hitting this up smash and getting out of here. So having the game knowledge and game sense of I can set up this specific situation in which I can get a really early kill is kind of the whole key, right? So another great example of this is if you're a character that does like the back throw imps on spaces, setting something up in a way where they're going to do something stupid into the corner can be your golden ticket to like an early stock. Let's check out this one.
Unless you know the ball.
Okay.
And if it's safe, like that's like a relatively safe up smash too, I feel like.
Which also, yes, so like that's just another thing that kind of adds to it, understanding the position that I really wasn't risking that much anyway. There's a spot against Marth. I set up all this kind of nonsense. I get this grab here, and I hit this nair. I get this grab. Now contextually, I've already hit all this crazy stuff. They feel like they're in the blender. I'm kind of getting a sense that they're not going to be able to DI kind of properly in this situation. Again, if we think about puff, up throw, rest, if they don't DI, the spacey will explode. Most spaceys know I gotta hold out or hold in, not get rested. Marth, similar situation. So all Marths should know, if they don't DI out, I get a free tipper, and a lot of times they'll know to DI out, and I'll just have to hit something else. But in this spot, again, I recognize the potential shortcut. This player's off balance, they're on the back foot. This is the perfect time that they're not gonna have that DI ready, and they're gonna do something that's gonna allow me to pick off their stock a little bit earlier. Wow. Okay, last one. Okay, so this is a fun one. Against Peach, right? I'm a sheep, I down throw, I hit an aerial. It's what I get paid to do. But in this spot, I'm recognizing as I get the grab, after the down throw, they're not going to be at high enough percent for any of my moves to kill. So I could go for an up air, I could go for a forward air, but like, it's just kind of setting up positioning. So I'm willing to take a gamble to go for a kill and go for this weak bear. So that's not actually true, but it does two things. It pushes the Peach a little bit more to the left, and it gets me an extra 10%, which now that forward air coming off the side of the platform is going to end up resulting in a kill. And you can even go to the DI calculator and you can see at 102, bear from the middle, not killing, with that extra back air percent 110, even with perfect DI, you can actually see it barely kills. So that back air completely made the difference here. So it's these kind of micro optimizations that feel really hard to do, but when we're taking a step back and kind of understanding the flow of the game and thinking about what am I actually trying to do in each of these situations, you kind of recognize, okay, certain variables are not there that need to be there for me to actually get a kill. How can I close that gap? For example, you know, let's say down tilt kills Puff at 100 and they're at 96, right? Maybe that's time to just shoot a couple lasers, get a little bit more percent so that you can actually get that down tilt kill. Cool. Okay.
Can I add something?
Yes.
That a lot of that also has to do with like I would say like this micro situation awareness and also character awareness, where it's like maybe most people don't know that like you can hit like a weak backer into something else, or to have them like also trick their DI into like holding more out because they're expecting like the down throw like forward air or up smash is what the DI look like. So like things like that are also like super important to like also pay attention to.
Yeah, you can kind of get an intuition for like when, as you start to apply what Tyler's talking about, you'll start to get an intuition of when it's appropriate to go for an extension.
Yeah, I think, you know,
Yeah.
the other place.
Yeah, you know, and you're rewarded for, you know, yeah.
And I think this is something I talk about if, you know, I have these resources up here that have all helped me a lot in my Melee journey. If you're curious about any of them, Lod's Guide to Improvement, I think a lot of people know, written by Lod, very good Peach player, very good at the game. SSBM Tutorials, if you're getting started, is still probably the best Melee beginner resource that exists. How to Get Worse at StarCraft 2 is a really good article about how sometimes you have to do, again, the unintuitive thing, or a strategy that has a longer amount of investment before it starts paying off. DI calculator, and then if you want to reach out and you have a question about anything, I have my Discord there. But what I was getting at is, in some of the coaching, like, we already develop an intuition just by playing the game. But then we can also do analysis and find concrete, like tangible things that also add. And when we can start mixing those two things together is when we can start to see real big spikes in our results. So it's looking in the DI calculator and finding weird little moves that will just extend your combo by tiny amounts, and then using your intuition of, hey, my forward smash probably won't quite kill. Let me use one of those little helper moves that I thought of earlier to extend the combo a little bit more before I get that last hit, build up that extra percent like that weak bear. So that's all I got. I was curious with this group. I didn't know if we were going to take a route where we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the game, we're talking about percents, optimizations, or if we wanted to go kind of high-level, more abstract theory about how to practice anything in general, not just Melee. So I want to get people's opinions with, if I come back next week and I'm teaching something, would people be more interested in what I own this game is talking about with actually changing your mindset so that you do the healthy stuff, the stuff that's actually going to get you better, instead of just booting up unranked every day? Or would we want something more practical where we just go over universal movement excuse me, universal movement tech and how to take advantage of it with every character? Do we have any opinions on that?
I vote one.
We'll vote one. Cool. Going once?
You know,
Going
if you
twice?
want to teach one, I'll teach two.
Sure. Oh, wow. I don't know where that came from. Anyways, that's my time. Thank you all for coming. We can now play some Melee. Hopefully you learned something today. If you did, that's great. If you didn't, that is okay too.